Put your oxygen mask on first. Good Erev Shabbos. I hope you and your family are well. I want to tell you about two experiences we had in our recent trip to Israel, and they both relate to an amazing verse from this week's Torah portion of ACHAREI-KEDOSHIM. So the first one is an experience that we all have when we go flying on an aeroplane and we're given instructions for safety, and we're told that if we're traveling with young people and then we have the dropping down of the oxygen mask, first of all we have to put our mask on first before we apply it to the children we're traveling with. And this is an amazing well-being principle which my CBT supervisor told me that he put out this metaphor as a well-being practice, that we have to look after ourselves before we look after others. And in fact, the best way to look after other people is by looking after ourselves. And this is further derived from the main pasuk from this week's Torah portion, which is Ve'ahavta lerecha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. As Rabbi Akiva teaches us, this is the main principle of the Torah. Later on in the teaching of Pirkei Avot, Rabbi Akiva also teaches that we get to this by appreciating that every person, and it starts with self, we're created with the divine image. We see it within ourselves, and then we see it in other people. For first of all, see it in ourselves, and then we can see it in others. Now, this idea of loving your neighbor as yourself, we saw an amazing experience of this in Israel on our way back. Our travel from the old city to the airport, we had chain after chain of different people helping us. First of all, on the way out of the city, we met a young American a person who was just made Aliyah, and he saw us struggling with our suitcases, and he said, "Can I help you?" And he helped us all the way up to the Jaffa Gate. And then from there, when we were on the tram, we met a lady called Leah, and she was an old lady who we met a few days earlier. She was collecting for Hachnasat Kala, which was providing for brides, and we had an amazing conversation with her. And then when we got onto the train to the airport, I met an Israeli man who was giving out free massages. He is actually a chiropractor, and he was on the way to Tel Aviv to work, and he was giving out free massages. And then when we got to the airport, we met another man, and he saw us struggling with the suitcases, and he took us up. We felt such an amazing experience of Ve'ahavta lerecha kamocha, thinking outside yourself and thinking about other people. And for me, when I'm reading this verse in this week's Torah portion, it speaks very loudly. Often in the press, we're hearing about division amongst the Jewish people, the lack of love within our people. But when we were there recently, we saw it firsthand how much love there truly is there. And there is maybe frustration when we're reading in the newspapers or experiencing or hearing the sense of division. However, the better way to approach the situation is, rather than get frustrated if we do hear or experience that, is that to work in the opposite. Take this principle of loving your neighbor yourself, going out proactively and doing acts of kindness. And my recent trip to Israel gave me so much inspiration for that, and saw how much difference it made on me, and I'm now inspired to do that more. This is our main work at the moment as we're approaching the festival of Shavuot. It's to developing that sense of love and understanding of who we are, and channeling it out to other people and bringing tremendous unity. So let's take this message and let's look after ourselves, and by doing that we can look after others. Have a wonderful Shabbos, and put your oxygen mask on first.